Picture this. You're doom scrolling through YouTube at 2 a.m., procrastinating on bills you can't afford after another soul-crushing week at your dead-end job. Your boss treats you like furniture. Prices are eating your paycheck alive. And then you stumble into the middle of the weirdest financial experiment in internet history. Two of YouTube's biggest titans just made completely opposite decisions about money that expose how broken this whole system really is. One wants to become your bank. The other literally told his fans to stop giving him money because he's already disgustingly rich. Welcome to the great creator economy fork in the road, where parasocial relationships meet predatory finance, and the modern dream gets a very online, very uncomfortable makeover. If you like having your illusions about money, creators, and the system broken down with dark humor instead of boring lectures, hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next financial train wreck we dissect here. So let's set the scene. On one side, you have Jimmy Donaldson, better known as Mr. Beast, the Mozart of the attention economy. The guy who turned giving away money into a content genre and then into an empire. On the other, you've got Charles White, aka Penguin Zero or Moist CRI1 Tickle, deadpan commentator, speedrunner of internet sarcasm, and now accidental philosopher of how much money is enough. In the mid-2020s, these two didn't just upload different videos. They started walking in completely opposite directions with their money. One leaned harder into empire building. The other basically said, "I'm good, stop paying me." That split tells you more about our economy than any TED Talk. First, let's talk about the beast who would be bank. Mr. Beast didn't randomly stumble into wanting more control over your spending. This has been his playbook from day one. Look at the trajectory. He didn't just give away money. He turned giveaways into a scalable philanthropy brand. He didn't just like burgers. He launched Mr. Beastburger. He didn't just crave chocolate. He built Feastables to go directly at legacy candy companies. Every move has been the same move. Own more of the stack, control more of the experience, capture more of the audience's spending. Now imagine the next logical step in that evolution. Not a t-shirt drop. Not another snack line. A full-blown financial services brand built on top of the most powerful kid and teen audience in the world. Online banking. Payment processing. Maybe crypto trading. Maybe microloans. Whether it ends up being called Mr. Beast Financial or not, you can see the shape of the idea. Why stop at being the guy who gives away money on camera when you can become the infrastructure where your fans actually store, move, and borrow it? Think about the psychology. Why just collect ad revenue from your audience when you can also collect interchange fees every time they tap their debit card, take a slice of their trading fees when they gamble on crypto, and skim interest when they fall behind on small loans? It's the logical endpoint of the creator economy. Your favorite YouTuber stops being just entertainment and becomes the platform your paycheck flows through, the brand you buy from, and the lender you owe. And the trust foundation for that was built very deliberately. Mr. Beast has spent a decade stockpiling the most valuable commodity in modern marketing. Emotional credit with hundreds of millions of viewers. He cures blindness. He builds wells. He pays off people's houses. Every philanthropic video is a giant deposit into the bank of public trust. Mr. Beastburger and Feastables were the first big withdrawals from that account. And at first, it worked. Feastables sold millions of bars, people felt good buying candy from Jimmy, and the feedback loop between content and commerce got tighter. But the burger experiment also showed what happens when you scale too fast and don't fully control the product. Launched in 2020 as a virtual restaurant brand run through ghost kitchens, Mr. Beastburger quickly ran into horror story photos of undercooked, sloppy, or just straight-up inedible food. By 2023, Mr. Beast was in a very public legal war with his partners, claiming the whole thing was detonating his reputation, while others claimed he'd walked away from contracts. Lesson learned. If you're going to put your face on something, you need iron grip control over the quality, especially when your entire brand runs on trust. Now apply that lesson to money. If you ever launch a financial product to your fans, you don't get to blame third-party partners when things go wrong. You are the bank in their minds. If something breaks, it's not some faceless institution screwing them. It's Jimmy, and regulators are already circling his orbit. In 2025, the Children's Advertising Review Unit in the U.S. called out the way Feastables was marketed in kid-heavy content. Brand integration that wasn't clearly labeled as ads, contests with shaky age gating, and data collection concerns around minors. The message from regulators was simple. If you're going to aim your marketing cannon at kids, the rules get tighter, not looser. Now imagine taking that same kid-centric empire and plugging it straight into banking, investing, and lending. Picture a fan's life cycle. At 10, they beg their parents for Feastables because they love the videos. At 15, they watch challenge videos on a Mr. Beast branded app. At 18, they open a fun, creator-branded account because it feels cooler and more trustworthy than some dusty old bank. They don't compare interest rates. They don't read terms and conditions. They click because Jimmy said it's awesome. Now add cryptocurrency trading on top. Trading any asset is risky. Trading highly volatile, hype-driven tokens inside a gamified app attached to your favorite influencer? That's not just risky. That's live-streamed leverage with a laugh track. When the trades go badly, when markets crash, when reality shows up, where do those young fans turn? To the same brand that offered them the tools. Maybe through small emergency loans. Maybe through microfinance. Maybe through buy now pay later links woven into content and commerce. That's audience monetization taken to its final form. Not just selling to your fans, but intermediating their cash flow, harvesting their data, and optionally earning interest on their desperation. And the scariest part is that it would probably work. Because when you've grown up with Jimmy in your pocket, when he's been the main character of your childhood internet, you don't see this as a bank. You see it as an upgrade to the relationship you already have with the good guy YouTuber. Now spin the camera around to the other side of the ring. While one creator is on a path that logically leads toward being your financial infrastructure, another just quietly performed one of the most subversive acts in the modern attention economy. Charles White, Penguin Z0, Moist Sir Urias Wampertikal. Deadpan delivery, white t-shirt, the human embodiment of, I just woke up and I'm already disappointed. In 2025, he came out and said the quiet part out loud. He's made over $35 million from YouTube since he started and another $5 or $6 million from Twitch. Call it roughly $40 million. He's set. He's done. He's financially finished in the best way possible. And then he did something you almost never see in this space. He turned off the taps. No more super chats. No more Twitch donations. No more channel memberships as a guilt trip revenue stream. He explicitly told his audience that because he's already absurdly wealthy, it feels wrong to keep taking $5 and $10 bills from people working normal jobs, juggling rent, and trying to afford groceries. In a culture where more is the only acceptable answer to how much money is enough, that is radical. Imagine a CEO calling a press conference to announce, "We're profitable enough. We're shutting down the sales department. Please stop giving us money." That's basically what just happened, except the CEO is a guy who streams horror games and mocks cursed TikToks. Most creators are handcuffed to the algorithm. Their mortgage, their kids' food, Their entire life depends on the next brand deal, the next viral video, the next month's CPM. They can't afford to be fully honest or fully independent because their income is permanently plugged into a slot machine they don't control. Penguin Z0 just bought his way out of that prison. He has what people politely call financial independence, and what everyone else calls FU money. Enough cash that he never has to think, if I say this, will I lose my sponsorships? Again, enough that he can't be economically blackmailed by outrage mobs, platform changes, or advertiser boycotts. He didn't just buy a bigger house. He bought his freedom from the system that made him rich. And then, crucially, he refused to keep running the same parasocial playbook on his audience, because that's what the modern creator economy runs on. One-sided friendships. You don't just watch a streamer. You support them. You help them out. You're a part of the community. You send $5 not because you're paying for a product, but because you feel like you're tipping a friend. They read your name on stream, thank you personally, maybe toss in a heart, and boom, the dopamine hits, the bond tightens, and your bank balance quietly shrinks. The whole thing monetizes loneliness. What Charles did was rip the mask off. By openly stating how rich he is and simultaneously disabling donations, he reminded everyone of something creators normally work very hard to blur. He's not your broke buddy trying to scrape by. He's an entertainer who's already financially set for several lifetimes. Your $5 matters to you a lot more than it matters to him. That's anti-parasocial behavior. Instead of deepening the illusion of intimacy to increase revenue, he deliberately weakened it to protect his viewers' wallets. He pushed his community back into the healthier category of audience instead of financial support system. Now put these two models side by side. On one side, a creator empire that logically wants to sit between you and your money. As merchant, as brand, maybe as bank. On the other, a creator who's drawing a bright red line and saying, no, this relationship stops at entertainment. Keep your cash. And all of this is happening in an economy that has made traditional stability obsolete for most people. The old deal was simple. Get a job, stay there, get promotions, collect a pension, retire. That's gone. What you get instead is layoffs, gig work, unstable contracts, and a retirement system that looks more like a casino than a guarantee. In that world, what Mr. Beast is doing makes a brutal kind of sense. If you can't trust existing institutions, build your own. Don't just make content. Own the candy aisle, the delivery app tile, maybe the banking app icon. If one platform dies, you still have 5 other revenue streams. If advertisers pull out, you still own brands that sell directly to fans. It's empire building as self-defense. What Penguin Zero is doing is the opposite type of self-defense. Make enough, then get off the treadmill. Use the windfall not to build a megacorp, but to exit the game. Reject the idea that success means never-ending scale. Protect your integrity and your audience's wallets by refusing to use every available monetization lever. Both are rational strategies in a deeply irrational system, but they don't have the same effect on everyone else. Because here's the ugly truth. The model that sees audiences as lifetime value to be maximized is the one that scales better. It plugs directly into what investors, platforms, and advertisers want. The more ways you can extract money from your fans, the more valuable you look on paper. The model that sees audiences as people with their own financial struggles, the model that voluntarily leaves money on the table, doesn't scale nearly as well. It doesn't produce billion-dollar valuations. It doesn't get celebrated by a venture capital. It doesn't turn you into the next Disney. And over time, that creates selection pressure. The creators who rise are the ones who are best at turning attention into revenue, not the ones best at respecting financial boundaries. The systems quietly reward those who blur the line between friend and funnel. Now fold financial products into that. If your favorite YouTuber becomes your bank, your broker, or your lender, that blurry line disappears altogether. You're not just watching content anymore. You're handing over your transaction history, your income data, your credit behavior. Every like, every swipe, every impulse buy becomes potential input for risk models and cross-selling. You don't just binge videos, you live inside an ecosystem. You buy their snacks, use their card, trade on their app, owe them interest, and get your financial advice from the same channel that profits when you transact more. For a kid who grew up online, that might feel normal. For anyone who's seen how badly conflicts of interest can blow up in finance, it should feel like a horror movie. And that's why Penguin Zero's move hits so hard. In a world where the dominant trend is creators turning their audiences into revenue machines, he voluntarily decoupled himself from that. He reminded people that it is possible to be wildly successful online and still draw a line between, I make stuff, and you pay me directly every month, even though I don't need it. He used success not to build a financial system around his audience, but to free himself from dependence on them. So what does this fork in the road tell us? It tells us that the future of the internet isn't just about algorithms and watch time. It's about whether creators will become full-stack corporations who sit between you and your own money, or whether some of them will use their success to push back against that logic. It tells us that parasocial relationships aren't just emotionally dangerous, they're financially dangerous. When the person you feel close to also wants to be your bank, your judgment gets cloudy at exactly the moment it needs to be cold and clear. And it tells us something deeply uncomfortable about where we're heading. The Mr. Beast model is probably going to win more often than the Penguin Zero model. Not because it's better for people, but because it's better for balance sheets. So the real question isn't who's right. The real question is, what does it do to an entire generation when their first experience of finance doesn't come from a boring bank, but from an entertainer who's been in their recommended feed since they were 10? When your favorite YouTuber offers you a checking account, a crypto wallet, and a microloan, are you making a financial decision? Or are you just continuing a storyline you've been emotionally invested in for a decade? Because once creators become banks, there is no clean separation between content and capital. Subscribe if you want to keep watching us pull apart the money logic behind creators, corporations, and good guy branding. Here on Chill Financial Disasters, we're going to keep following the cash, not the hype. So you're not the one funding the next wholesome financial experiment by accident.